Minister, since I have all of that black box information, but here's one for you. This is the Diebold encryption key and access code to all of the Diebold machines. It's uppercase Foxtrot 2654, lowercase Hotel, uppercase Delta 4. That's F2654HD4. That's the encryption code, if you haven't got it. Now, the other thing is that Jackson Baker with the flyer has been gratuitously attacking Black Box, trying to say they're irrelevant, compromised, and they don't know what they're doing. And he's been doing that gratuitously every chance he gets, even though it has not come up directly. So they know about it. They know that they're nervous, and Black Box is they're a pretty good outfit. They just don't like this kind of corruption. Everybody understands that there are people who do things not just about money. But what you have is known to a number of people. But our problem is we need a fairly young black lawyer, Jewish lawyer, Asian lawyer, Hispanic lawyer, doesn't make any difference, who has the balls and the fortitude to go out and take a case and prosecute it. Full tilt, pro bono, but we don't have any such creatures running around in Shelby County anymore. It's been a long while since we've had some lawyers who will take a case other than talking about money, 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 and damn it, they sell their souls. So the bottom line is, Minister, I appreciate all the work you've done. I know you've been trying to get with me. We've just been missing each other. But I have most of that lady's stuff from Black Box. I got it from Randy Wade, who, by the way, run his lawsuit attacking the Shelby County Election Commissioner. And some scoundrel lawyers wanted almost $50,000 to perfect his appeal when the Election Commission appealed their loss. And they just automatically won on the appellate level because there was nobody that knew what they were doing to help him with the appeal except some chicken shit folk who, and I use that term, who wanted $50,000 to do what ought to have been done for free since they're citizens of the county.
Now, Minister, I've got, before we continue, Minister, I've got 3 or 4 questions for you. And I have something here that says how to file an injunction without a lawyer. Now, we agree with the judge that we need a fairly young lawyer or lawyers to help us proceed in this matter. My first question to you, Minister, is this. Then we'll go around the table. What happens if we, in lieu of what I just read, this title, don't, in a reasonable amount of time, come up with or ascertain this lawyer or lawyers? First question in your mind. Go ahead. Okay, so okay, next question. You and the judge mentioned not connecting. I don't see that as a major problem. So how will, and I'll put myself in this equation, how will the 3 of us connect throughout the, well, the judge said he already had the information, but he mentioned the 2 of you needing to connect, etc. So how will we connect in lieu of this information that you were talking about we have? Then I'll go back to the judge and ask, is that necessary? I would like to look at it. So I'll go out on the limb and say it's necessary. Second question. Go ahead. Are you 50 or are you 80? Okay, okay.
It's 50.
Okay. Oh, no, I'm not trying to be funny or anything. Okay. No, but you were saying something about you missed the earlier call. You regret that?
I got you.
Okay.
Two. There you go. What's that?
Okay. 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 All right. Let's take a
Bottom line
comment
on
from
that,
Omar.
one thing on that, Minister, it's Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution that provides the impetus for what people think of as this one world government movement. It says it is the affirmative duty of the Commander-in-Chief in the Armed Forces of the United States to, quote, enforce the law of nations, unquote. So in other words, when it becomes the generally accepted law, when it becomes part of a treaty like United Nations, NATO, anything like that, it says specifically, quote, enforce the law of nations. That is the affirmative duty of the President and the Armed Forces, and also of the judges of the states and the federal courts, to enforce the law of nations.
Does that, hold on a minute.
That's just in the
Does that-
Constitution, that's the language.
But does that Constitution, which you just pointed out, in reference to what the minister said, then I take your comment, we've got to get Omar in here though, does that nullify what the minister said?
Well, it's something to be considered. See, it's
Okay.
also part of something that they neglect when they talk about the International War
Okay.
on Terror. It says
Well,
it's the affirmative duty of
okay.
the Navy
Got it.
to
But I-
oppose, suppress, and eradicate piracy wherever found in the world and enforce the law of nations. That's the way it reads.
But the reason I raised that question is because we've discussed that in reference to this whole dynamic of the changing dynamics of ethnic groups in terms of the world not being predominantly white, mostly brown. That's why I raised that question. That's something you pointed
Mostly
out.
Chinese.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you pointed that. But Minister, let's get Omar in here, and then take another comment from. Remember, we've got some guests who may want to say something. Go ahead, Omar.
You know, right now, especially in white America, but also in Europe and most of Europe, the population, the birth rate of Europeans is down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just in America. They have a serious fear in America that somewhere around 2040, 2050, it's going to flip where the people of brown and black complexion will be the ones in the majority, and they will be the minority, but it's not just here.
Right.
Putin, 2 years ago, was talking about a law they had just passed, that if you were caught in the act of homosexual behavior, that you would get 6 years in prison and an $8,000 fine. And so when they asked him why, he talked about the population of Russia going down because the birth rate was so low, and that some of the cities were being devastated. But that's also happening in all parts of Europe. So yeah, they'll disappear. They're on their way out. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. Now this is not.
I mean like that. But I mean, if you look at the evil and wickedness in the world,
Wait a minute, Omar.
the evil and wickedness in the world. Here's America, who is the greatest military power on earth. It has 194 countries on earth. They have a military base on 170 of them. And most of the time they're not there because they got an invitation. They kicked the door in and they never refused to leave.
Right, and this is factual information. This
Yes.
information, Omar, is not made up. You can find this on at any university, in any sociology
Yes, sir.
book, like you say, across, not just in America, but
Yes.
around the world.
Yes.
Minister, go ahead, and I've got a document here that I want to go through and get some feedback from the panel on this document. Minister, you've been trying to say something for a while. Okay, you're going in another direction, but that's fine. Let's look at this document that I have, and everyone jump in or let me know if you want to come in on this document. This first paragraph is a rather long paragraph, so please be patient. It says how to file an injunction without a lawyer. First, you have to draft a complaint/petition, which is an actual lawsuit alleging your complaint against the other party. You have to state the elements of your complaint/claim against the other party. To get a template to follow for filing your suit, you would have to go to the court library and ask the librarian for the form book second once you have drafted your complaint to file. You then draft a motion for temporary/permanent injunction and memorandum in support of the motion. In the memorandum, you need to cite case law that entitles you to the injunction, and you need to explain how that in the absence of the injunction, you will suffer irreparable harm for which there is no monetary relief, and you need to show how you have a likelihood of success on the merits of your lawsuit. You can get a copy of the format for the motion for injunction and the memorandum from the form book as well. Yes, so I'll stop right there. The next one is what is a criminal complaint? Anybody? You may. Okay. Okay. Okay, you're saying what you have in terms of this injunction, this paper. Okay. Okay. Okay, Minister, I think it's appropriate now that we go to the judge.
Minister,
Brown.
what you have is good, but Randy Wade won with that stuff in his action in Chancery Court, but when the Election Commission appealed it to the Court of Civil Appeals that's when the problem came in, and that's when you need some expertise in procedure, appellate law, and such like. And what we need, as I said, some experienced attorney with a couple of mid-30, early 30-ish lawyers who have plenty of time, lots of energy, not likely to be suffering an imminent heart attack, who can do what they need to do to get themselves on record and get a track record of doing things against important, powerful entities, which builds up their clientele. That's like if you remember when I got that boy Ronald Ward back in Arkansas back in the early mid-'80s. I spent $50,000 out of my pocket, and the principle was they were having all white juries down there in the area. It was a miscarriage of justice in the Jonesboro, West Memphis, Arkansas area, and I decided to do something about it. Everybody else wanted a huge fee. I spent my own money, but the Arkansas Supreme Court set aside the verdict and declared what they were doing unconstitutional, and now they've got changes. So that's 35 years later, there are changes. You see, you can file actions, habeas corpus actions against some of the stuff that they do. I got in trouble because they were violating an order of mine that I'd issued 27 years ago down here at this filthy, despicable excuse for a court, juvenile court down here that we've got in Shelby County. And you see, there are people that have done these kind of things that improve the way things are done. There was a case came out of Memphis in the 1970s. The Public Defender's Office prosecuted that, went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, and it established a principle that's been in effect for more than 40 years that a cop just can't shoot somebody without having a reasonable fear of his own life. It was a case that came out of Memphis. This kid was running down an alley, decided to hit a fence. The cop walked up behind him, calmly from 5 feet away, shot him several times in the back, and that was lawful, but they took it to the Supreme Court. See, that has impacted the lives of, even though they disregard it now, millions of young blacks all over the United States. See, we don't have that kind of balls today. We've got some scoundrels that tell you that they need this money because they have to do this. And it's gotten even so bad. I live in a very affluent part of Germantown, and we've been trying to find a lawyer. So guess what? The white folk out there, these are wealthy white folks. Every place out there is million and above. And they say, well, you know, they've got black jurors and mostly blacks in this county. We want to get a black lawyer. They can't even, rich folk can't even find a black lawyer who's willing to take on the, of all things, city of Germantown. Which is just a disgrace. What are they doing? They're useless.
Yeah. Omar, I'll come to you in a minute, Minister. We haven't heard from Omar Baruti in a while. Omar.
But I tell you what, one thing, let's go down to the county commission and embarrass these fools and show up at the Democratic Party Central Committee.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at.
Why aren't you bringing these folk who run in partisan elections down here and answering to the people about why they have neglected the people's interests?
Well, that's what I'm getting at, Judge, because Omar, we're sort of all over the place today, but that's okay. But I've got what I'm hearing. There's 3 or 4 key steps, and we've got a couple of experts in our midst. And so where are we in this panel discussion and relative to these voting machines, and how can we be successful if we're going to use this as a model, a prototype? What is it that you're hearing?
You know, when it comes to lawyers who have the balls to sue the system, they're hard to find in Memphis. I have a friend who was unlawfully arrested, had a trial, and it was eventually thrown out, but all the money she spent, and then when she went for justice, no lawyer would take the case. I mean, not for nothing, because they felt like they might lose their license, might get found disfavorable in the eyes of other, judges and whatever. A great case. She talked to the NAACP, to my My brother-in-law down in Jackson, Mississippi, he's one of the vice president of NAACP, and he said she had a great case, but in Memphis, a lawyer that had the guts to take it doesn't exist. And this was, and if you look at the witness she was bringing forward, the police were saying that they was trying to harass this woman and hurt this woman because she was always having them written up for things that they weren't doing, like allowing drug trafficking to go on in her apartment complex. They were allowing it to happen knowingly, and they felt like they were vindictive against her, and they were telling the people that stayed there what they were doing.
Well, that's why I asked the minister, and both of these experts, what happened, and what I hear, that person doesn't exist. If he or she or they exist, sounds like we have to beat the bushes to find them. So my question became, it still remains, what happens within the time limit that we have if these individuals are not present? Omar, is this document irrelevant, Omar?
If you don't have a lawyer that's conscious enough to say, I will stand in the gap, I will make a difference. Like what Judge Joe Brown was just saying, he spent his money on that case. But the community should have been raising money for the case. You don't find that. It's very rare. We had a brother when I was a minister in Holly Springs for the Nation of Islam. The sisters came to me and said, Brother Minister, there's a brother that's in prison. He's been there 19 years for a crime he didn't commit. They said, we raised some money, $10,000 to get a lawyer. We can't find anybody that'll take the case. So I called Shokai Lumumba down in Jackson, Mississippi. He came up, he heard our plea, he took the case. But again, it's just those rare instances. But these were people from the community who gave this $10,000. They went door to door getting that money together to get that brother out of prison. I didn't know him until you know, he had been in prison 19 years. He went in when he was 19. I met him 19 years after he got in prison. And of course, when Shokai took the case, he got the brother out because he was wrongfully convicted. And it was found out later it was the sheriff's son that killed the man they say he killed. But again, lawyers that would take the case.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, I think, Shay Renee, you've got a comment. Edith, you've got a comment, but let me ask Omar a follow-up question. Omar, I don't think that we can work these details out specifically here on this panel. I think this discussion, in view of the seriousness of this matter, is going to call for a couple of meetings, maybe 3 for starters. Minister, are you still with us? Okay, coming back to you. And a series of meetings that requires getting number one, all of these candidates running, to get behind one candidate in that area. And then another sit-down session that will look at the details dealing with this. This is what I'm hearing. Now, maybe my hearing is distorted. To work through the details of getting to the solution with regard to these voting machines. Omar, then Shay Renee, then Edith, and then Judge Joe Brown.
If you look at black people in politics, we are electorally stupid. We need to go behind closed doors like the Jews do, and we need to sit down and figure out who we're going to allow to run, and who we're going to punish for not running against those that we allowed to run.
Yes.
And here we ain't gonna have no split votes. That's what we gotta do. Yeah. Put your votes all over the plantation. You ain't get nobody nothing. The man we got now, he ain't feeding for us. The man.
Well, I tell you what. I will say this. I will ask this question, and then we'll go to another panelist. What is required to make this happen? And I will say that I've been to a number of meetings where we've made agreements that didn't follow. But hold on, that did not follow, and I'll tell you why. Because you have everyone in the meeting want to be the head honcho, and they cannot relax themselves to vote on someone who's the go-to guy. And let's hear. Let Omar finish, and then come on.
I'm going amen.
All right.
Let's look at these two parties that haven't invited us to either party, Democrats and Republicans. Right? How many people are running? How many people were running before Trump got nominated? How many? It was 16, 17?
It was 17.
17 running, and they chose one. And the Democratic Party, they had a huge number, and they chose one.
Right.
We need to sit down. That's smart.
Right.
Y'all run
Why
19
is
people for one
Isaac
job?
Richmond running in the congressional primary for District 9?
That's a great
What in
question.
the world?
That's a great question.
That's a guarantee for Cohen getting it again, and it's an overwhelmingly Democratic district, so the election is the primary, not the main one.
And I'll tell you something else. When you've ran for an office 3 times, I've never seen in my time a person win after running for an office 3 times. Shay Renee, we've had you waiting too long.
He's run for every office in the county. I think this is the, what, 2nd or 3rd time for Congress.
Third. Come on, Shay.
Well, I wanted to go back to the whole attorney thing, and I tell everybody that has a license, there's an oath that you had to take. You know, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a police officer, a politician, there is an oath that you have to take, and you have to solemnly swear that you're going to uphold whatever duties that license gave you the right to uphold. And I tell that to police officers that are out there shooting unarmed African American men, unarmed men, women, whoever. I tell politicians that are not out there serving the people. I tell everybody that has taken an oath, what did your oath say when you took this position? Because sometimes we have to return back to the foundation and to the first love of why we even took a position or took a role. You know, and sometimes we lose sight of why we did what we did. And I think a lot of people are losing sight of why they did what they did.
Okay.
You know, they back talk Hillary Clinton, but when she started out in college, Hillary was out there and she was in the thrust of everything, trying to make a difference in the world. Now, on the way, you know, she might have gotten caught up in whatever. You know what I'm saying? But she started out with a good motive and good intentions. You know what I'm saying? And then she got thrown off a little bit within that whole process. And I think a lot of people, they may have started out with good intentions, and I'm not saying everybody did, but there's some people out there that did start off in a good intention. And then because of whatever, life circumstances or whatever, you got in a situation and you probably had to compromise some things. You know, but it's like this. How much are we going to continue to compromise and watch the state of the world go in the direction that it's going? I mean, we're having young people having babies like crazy on drugs. I mean, you can't even get a prescription now without your children become addicted to prescription drugs.
Okay.
You know, I mean, and so it's all kinds of stuff. You know, unwed marriage, babies. I mean, babies having babies. Grandmothers aren't normal grandmothers anymore. So it's so much with society, you know, and it starts with the leadership. And so until we get a hand on leadership and remove that stuff, because it's like we're in 2018. We've been protesting and stuff since the 1800s, 1600s. I mean, come on, when is the time out? And I get tired of just even reminding people that we've been protesting since the 1800s.
Okay.
You know, when are we going to do something different? We can continue on in a cycle as long as we want to, but, you know, the definition of that is insanity.
Okay.
You know, so sometimes we got to sit down and we got to come up with a solution to the problem, forget who's chief. You know, we all have a piece, you know.
All right, Minister, are you still with us? Sakura. All right. I think we've got one line open, Cedric. 901-452-3094
Now give a shout out to somebody.
or 901-324-7490. We've got one line open. Give us a call at that line, on that line, and help us out right here. You've got a shout out, Judge Joe Brown.
To a brave man. This morning, at an Antioch Waffle House up in Nashville, somebody opened fire with a rifle, and the courageous brother rushed the gunman, tackled him, disarmed him, and saved a lot of people. So his name is James Shaw, Jr., 29 years old. So there's hope. He also happens to be an Alpha Phi Alpha man. Family D.
So there is hope.
I'll put that in there.
Yes, sir.
James Shaw saved a lot of people this morning when he disarmed a gunman who had a rifle that the culprit shot 4 people and was still firing when the brother disarmed him.
All right. Edith Moore.
Hello. I would like to address one of the issues that we brought up about finding reputable attorneys. When I had the problem and got all the emails that was flowing through the election commissioners as to why I was not qualified to run, I went to one of my attorney's friends in Georgia. And they pulled up the county charter, read the county charter, broke it down to me and said, Edith, they are really messing with you. They just don't want you in that race. And then I had an attorney, that organization in Nashville, where I'm from, and I had them to look at it, and they said the same thing, that nowhere in the charter, they aren't going by the charter. What was surprising to me when I got the information from my attorney in Atlanta, the ones in Nashville, the late great Mr. Louis Donaldson, who summoned me to his office and said, girl, what's going on with you? When I saw all of that, and I did try to find a local attorney because I knew I had a case, but it was hard to find one. So I went to my cousin, Larry Moore, and Larry said, I'm not practicing full time, but I will take the case and find someone else. And that's the only way I found a person to sue the Shelby County Election Commissioners. Now, what was surprising to me, and Judge Brown, I want you to comment on this, the lawyers for the county was allowing the county commissioners to do what they were doing without slapping their hands and said, you know, you guys are wrong.
They have no balls.
But evidently my balls were bigger than theirs.
You're right. They're house Negroes. They're trying to get on the 3rd floor of the house, big house,
Right.
or play butler. And they are scoundrels. They're not upholding, they're not dealing with Du Bois' bootstrapping of the race by the talented 10th. They have gotten no fallout that they're putting out for the community that produced.
But that's what
It's a
was so
shame.
surprising to me, that the attorneys for the county was allowing the election commissioners to do this to me as a citizen.
Some of them don't know any better, and some of them are just as corrupt as anybody else.
And so when I finally decided, after getting all those 3 minds together, and my cousin found one of the best attorneys, and I'm going to call his name out because I love him, love him, love him.
Okay.
Cedric Wooten
Okay.
took the case along with my cousin, Larry Moore, and we weren't in court over 15 to 30 minutes before Judge Arnold Golden said, you guys don't know what you're doing.
And your cousin Cedric Wooten, is
No, Larry Moore.
And Cedric Wooten
And
is-
Cedric Wooten was the key
Is he still around?
Yeah.
Cedric Wooten?
Cedric Wooten is still around.
Did you know Cedric Wooten, Judge Brown?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Well, he was one of the young attorneys along with my cousin that said, hey, we're going to court. And then my attorney friend in Georgia said, I want you to handle the case this way and only this way, because we see the corruption. We don't know what judge you may get downtown who may be in with them.
Okay.
And
There are
he said,
some of
That's
those.
the thing.
and he
That's
said
the
that
thing.
I only want you to present the case to get a yes or no. Did they violate your constitutional rights? Yes or no. He said, we don't want them to say, you don't say anything about how they tore your house up, how they threw rocks through my opponents, how they got their wives to go on my property and trespass to take pictures. I have the emails to prove all this, y'all. And we went in on, did you do or did you didn't violate her constitutional rights as a citizen of the United States, the state of Tennessee, the county of Shelby. And we were out of there in about 15 minutes. Judge Arnold Golden said, yes, you did. They had even kicked me off the ballot without telling me.
Omar, do you know Cedric Wooten?
I don't, but I need to.
You need to know. Minister!
Well, it's good that there's one young brother out there
I
that's
give
doing
him
the right
credit.
thing.
I mean,
I bet
because-
the rest of you who I'm talking about need to step forward and redeem your manhood or your womanhood if you have any kind of guts, and go do what you need to do. Because the community depends upon you, and you can't go around talking about everything about money, because look, there are a lot of people that paid a whole lot of dues to get these doors open so you could sneak yourself in there. So don't leave a slime trail, you know,
Yeah.
dishonoring what those who went before did to get you in.
That's right.
You
Come on,
can,
man.
let's talk about Judge H.T. Lockett, the late. He was one of the proteges for Thurgood Marshall. He started practicing in 1951. He ended desegregation at Memphis State University, now Tennessee State, or not Tennessee State, what is it, University of Memphis now. He ended desegregation in the swimming pools. He ended the segregated schools around here. He got some things done in terms of the election commission to be inclusive of us. He filed a whole lot of lawsuits. He didn't get a dime for it, and he's dead now. And when he was on the bench, he tried to deliver justice.
Okay,
So
let's bring.
we need some more
We
like
need
that.
some more of those. I want to bring the minister in, and while you're at it, Minister, you may comment on the 2 points the judge made, the courage part and the part about money, the part about doing for the community. But you had some other things you wanted to say as well. Go ahead, Minister. Are you with us? Did he drop off?
You should be on now.
Go ahead. Well, I think he dropped off.
Well, yes.
I think he dropped off.
Well,
I think
the
he-
minister is persistent. He'll be back. I'm sure he'll call back. But, you know, seriously.
I don't know who's most persistent. You or the minister.
Seriously, we have A.W. Willis, the late A.W. Willis attorney, the retired Judge Russell Sugarman. I'll give them special commendation. They are the two black lawyers who smuggled the pictures of Emmett Till's body out
Yeah.
of Mississippi and got them to the Illinois governor. I understand there were 8 cars that got shot up or set on fire that the Klan and the White Citizens Council destroyed trying to make sure the pictures didn't get out. That's the old man Withers who has the photography museum down on Beale Street and a permanent Smithsonian Institution record. He took the pictures. So those 3 risked life and limb to get those pictures out of Mississippi, and Emmett Till's plight has made something on the national level that we still feel the impact of. See, you got brothers like that. You had A.A. Lanning, an old black lawyer who did a lot of stuff. You had let's see, you got Arthur Bennett, who came in and tried to do stuff. You had Ben Hooks, who came in and tried to do stuff. So you have people who got involved in what was going on, and they took care of the community. But these characters we have right now, hell, you can't find them. And then when you do find them, you know, it's all about the money thing. Somewhere in here you've got to do some things because it's what your soul demands and what you are demanded for, because you're supposed to be a warrior for the people. You're supposed to know how this system works, the ins and the outs. And when you get yourself on a bench, use the opportunity to do some social engineering. There are a few down there like that. Glenn Wright in criminal court. You've got Walter Evans, chancellor, and maybe 1 or 2 others that come in here and do some stuff, but we need some more strong judges, some strong people down there, and somebody needs to take this witch Amy Wyrick out of that position. Okay. That's about as corrupt as it gets. The let's see, Harvard and Yale have done a study of corruption in district attorney's office, and interestingly enough, they find she personally has more appellate decisions calling her corrupt or involved in prosecutorial misconduct than the total for any other DA's office in America amounts to, with all of their employees, but that one that heads it.
Okay.
And I think of her, just to give you one so you really get mad.
Okay.
In Memphis, they give out the stiffest sentences for simple possession of marijuana in the United States. In my courtroom, the current elected DA tried to sneak one by me that I caught. She wanted to give a 1-year suspended sentence, $250 fine, court cost, unsupervised probation, and record expunged for somebody who had almost 4 kilos of coke, had a pound of 95% pure heroin, 800 doses of crystal meth, about the same number of Quaaludes, and about the same for LSD. She was going to let that person have, recommended that person have a 1-year suspended sentence, and unsupervised probation, record expunged, and Metro Narco hit the fan when they found out about it. They'd been working on the case for 3 years. there was major drug trafficking in the Memphis area, but that was supposed to be 1 year unsupervised probation.
Okay, I think we've got the minister back, but before you weigh in, minister, here's something about public trust. This paragraph right here by Aaron Bandler, October 20th, 2016. Donald Trump's constant cries about a rigged election are causing leftists to freak out about the possibility of the public trust being eroded in the country's electoral system. Leftists must have a short memory because all the rigged election talk is reminiscent of 2004 when there were cries that Diebold's electronic voting machines rigged the election in favor of George W. Bush. Go ahead, minister. I know you want to jump. I know y'all, everybody wants a piece of that.
2000 in Florida.
Go ahead.
Ohio, Hawaii.
Okay. Well, not to cut you off, but let me say this, man. I want you to keep talking. I think the next step, Omar, is to contact Talu and go from there and see what he says, since he already has this organization set up. I do think that would be perhaps the very next step in direction.
And Michael Tharps too.
And Michael Tharps to go in the very next step. And go ahead, minister, continue. Okay. Be threatened. Keyword threat. Let me ask you this then. I'm not trying to stop you. Are you willing? You mentioned the research you have. Are you willing to do all that you can to get this information in the proper hands of the committee? Are you willing to do that? Okay. Okay, well, let me ask you this then. That sounds good. You know, J.A. Rogers wrote that book on self-actualization. In that book, his book he wrote, well, the world's great men of color. There were some women in there as well. He talked about how some great leaders were great because of their capacity to be leaders. And so the question becomes for all of us, do we possess the capacity to listen? Do we possess the capacity to once a go-to person is selected? It's kind of like playing sports. Once you select a point guard and you're a center, you don't run down there and get in the way of the point guard. Do you think that it is necessary for all individuals concerned to possess the capacity to work within an organization, their position? Go ahead. Okay. All right, so where are we at this point? What have you heard thus far? You said I put a question on the floor and no one went in that direction. What was that question?
Speaking of some
Did
things.
I tell you that Judge Joe Brown said he would head that the committee that we're talking about. I sent him a text message and he said yes. Did I relay that information to you, man? I did. Okay. Okay.
All right, we're gonna do a political thing, and I'm gonna see if I can drum up some Cajoni-possessed African-American, Afro-American, Black American,
Right.
leaving status
All
of
of the above.
Negro American, left status of colored American to take a case. But one thing seriously, everybody down here has been contributing to this, and it's at a crunch time. We need a little help, so I'd like to throw this out. If you want the Love Power Show to keep coming to you strongly over the next few seasons or next few weeks, help us out here. We've got a post office box. It's 40263, post office box 40263, Memphis, Tennessee, zip code 38174, 38174, and make your checks out to Wallace Red for the Love Power Show. Love Power Show, care of Wallace Red. So we need that. Love Power Show, care of Wallace Red, post office box 40263, Memphis, Tennessee, zip code 38174. So keep us going before somebody throws us out the door. You know, we old folk getting Social Security and everything else down here. You ain't gonna hurt now no more to come up with some community contributions to keep the voice going on. Yes, this morning.
Amen.
Yeah, but you were saying something about drumming up some cojones.
Yes, I'm gonna embarrass some people. I think that's probably it. You got your law degree, you got your law license, and you're scared of what they're doing to you on the state level. Every time somebody that's doing something, I know there's a little backstory. They try and jump you now with the State Bar Association discipline and ethics. I mean, you call a scoundrel, and they want to get on you because you weren't polite enough about calling the son of a bitch a scoundrel. But my law license is in an inactive status, so you some low-down scoundrel, screw you, thought you'd do to me. I'm exercising my First Amendment right, but we need some Negroes that don't play the N-word, you know, too tough to move on and become black folk and do something masculine, brave, and whatever. This brother up in Nashville charged somebody with a leveled rifle, and 4 folk had been shot, but he got the weapon away from him and he put his life out there to save others. The least your low-down selves can do is sit your lazy behinds down, do a little legal research, that's what you got trained to do, and a little intellectual work, which I hope you have the mental capacity to do, and do something for your people, because by the way, you're included in this mess also. And if anybody's right to vote is taken away because of their status, you share the status. So guess what, Negro? You get put in this mix too. So help get everybody out. It's time for you scoundrels to pay some dues. I haven't seen any dues for a while. I haven't seen any paid. You low down, ballless scoundrels, except for maybe the one Ms. Moore was talking about. So,
And Ms. Moore.
well, you're not a lawyer right now.
No.
See, we're talking about lawyers who are trained to work in this system, who are supposed to be out in the forefront. Let some of you get out in the forefront. Maybe you might earn some money over your career because people will come to you. That's what Johnny Cochran did. Everybody likes Johnny, but you know, he went and took a stand on a few cases when he was out in L.A. Always been about that. I knew him from back in 1966. I was an undergrad, and he was coming back on an alumnus situation. But he told us then, he said, if you want to make your claim to fame, do something that impacts people.
Right.
You know, so we've got enough.
Yeah.
We've got enough Uncle Clarence Thomases. We need some more Thurgood Marshals. We got enough handkerchief head Negroes. We need some black warriors.
The minister wants to jump in there, but that means going out and doing something and not thinking about what I'm going to get out of it in terms of money. That's what that means.
Exactly.
Minister,
Low down scoundrels,
go ahead.
ballless cretins.
Go ahead, Minister. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Do you want to set a time and date now? Or do you want to call everybody, people, the key people, yourself personally, and suggest a time and date? Well, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go around the table. The best time for me would be over in the evening, something like 5. Yeah.
5 would be good, but we want to get in the middle of rush hour traffic. 6:30.
6, okay. Well, we haven't heard from Omar in our special guest. Omar? Any day but Thursday for Omar.
Tuesday. Any day but Tuesday.
Time, Omar? 6:30.
I'm flexible except for Tuesdays, not Tuesday evenings.
Either are you going to come to this meeting?
Well, I can come to the meeting. I'm running my campaign, of course, but I'll find time to come to the meeting because it's very important to me.
All right, 6:30, what day?
Let me pull out my calendar here and exclude Tuesdays or put Tuesdays in? Exclude Tuesdays. Okay, we have coming up the 24th, which is 2 days from now. We don't want that one, so we have the 25th, 26th, 27th, that's this week. We have, let's see, we don't want the 1st of May, that's a Tuesday, and that's voting day.
Yes.
That's the wrong day, but we've got, I won't be here on the 3rd, nor the 4th, but I've got to go fly out and talk about this James Earl Ray King thing
Okay.
on the rifle, so let's see. We've got Monday the 7th, Wednesday the 9th, 10th, 11th. We're talking about sometime during the week. 14th.
I would say the sooner the better, strike right on.
15th is the first day of Ramadan for those who practice that. There's the 16th, 17th, and 18th.
How long will Brother Lance need to get the people together? You come to-
I agree with the idea of the sooner the better.
Well, somebody get to somebody like Isaac Richmond and tell him to get the hell out of that congressional race. It's not too late to withdraw. So we can have a realistic opportunity of getting somebody besides Steve Cohen coming out of that primary. Friday, May 27th? Are you talking about Friday the 27th of April?
Because Because early voting will be over.
Yeah, Friday, 27th of April in school. What time and where? 6:30, where?
Minister? Friday,
Before the
6:30.
election, and then we can have another meeting with the results.
Is that this coming Friday?
Yes, where?
Where? You gotta check with, now who's this Jeffrey person you're talking about? At the Walker House, okay. No,
I have my headquarters, but it's upstairs. I mean, it's,
where's that?
Madison.
Madison, 1294 Madison Avenue, at the corner of Madison and Claybrooks, in the Pyramid, upstairs over the Pyramid Beauty School. And I have a meeting.
1294 Madison?
Oh, that's right across from the Intensive place?
House of
Right.
Upstairs, 1294 Madison
You
upstairs.
can't miss it. Their signs are on the building. Their signs are on the
I like that, Minister. No need to further talk.
We could probably put about 20 people in, and it's a lot of parking space.
Well, starting out, we don't need a lot of people. This is the key committee. You go, Minister, go ahead. Well, you will need Talud El-Amin. And I guess Michael
And
Tharp.
Michael Tharp.
Michael Tharp, okay.
And I can think of a few, Christian Kirk and a few others put in there. And please, if you have mental problems, we understand. Stay home. We don't need that. We don't want the usual assortment of, I hate to say it, cranks who come out for everything with some mental health issues. Stay home. We'll do it for you.
Go ahead, keep going. Omar.
I hated to say that, but it's the reality. Mental health issues, stay home. We understand. Collect your check, enjoy yourself, and we'll tell you what's going on. But please don't come in and disrupt.
Hey, listen, we've got Edith Moore running for Shelby County Board of Commissioners, District 8. Come out and support Miss Edith Ann Moore, the grassroots candidate. Now we've said something about grassroots on this show today. A grassroots candidate, Miss Edith Moore. Come on out and support Miss Edith Moore and join her companion on the team, Miss Shay Renee Ford. You know what? Before we close, we ought to have another song. We should get another song before we close. Yes, sir. But we're not ready to close yet because we got some. We got. Hey, Minister.
You may have to stay home yourself.
Okay. Text the minister. I'll do that, Minister. Text minister. Oh, hold on, Minister. Hold on. Text minister. Now, do you have everyone's phone number here? So you need Judge's number. You have Omar Baruti's number. You lost Omar's number. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to write it on this piece of paper and pass it around. How's that? Okay. Hey, Minister, before you go, what are the 4 things that one needs to know about the Diebold voting machines? 4 things that one needs to know. What are they? Yes. let's do this then. According to this document by Mr. Aaron Bandler, October 20th, 2016, he says, here are 4 things you need to know about Diebold voting machine, Diebold. Number 1, the origins of Diebold voting machine come from a push for electronic voting that occurred after the chaos of the 2000 presidential election. The controversy surrounded hanging chads, which were the result of half-punch piece of chaff rather than a clean cut. From a readable punch card ballots, according to Bloomberg, when it came to the Florida recount of that election, the result was a push for electronic voting to avoid a repeat of that anarchy by using voting machines like Diebold, which allow people to vote via touchscreen. However, such a push opened the door for leftist conspiracy theories in the subsequent presidential election. Number 2, it says Diebold conspiracy theories began percolating in 2003. CBS News reported at the time, first there are the 3 companies that make computer voting machines: Diebold, Sequoia, and Election Systems and Software, ES&S, all of which are owned by big GOP contributors. GOP now. Walden Odell, Diebold CEO, for example, has signed on as a Bush-Cheney pioneer, promising to raise at least $100,000 for the campaign. Second are the charges of the dirty tricks, using computer software purchased under proprietary contracts that make it illegal to examine the equipment. Votes for Democrats are lost, changed, or disqualified. Third are the paychecks Republicans get into office, perpetuate the fraud, and help advance the causes and stuff the pocketbooks of right-wing Americans. The report goes on to cite leftists warning that the electoral fix is in. As a result of supposed GOP control of computer voting machines, this set the stage for the next stage. Number 3, leftists whined that Diebold voting machines stole the election in 2004. Michelle Malkin explained in a 2006 column about how Teresa Hines, John Kerry's wife, blamed Bush winning re-election on rigged Diebold voting machines based on the belief that 2 brothers owned 80% of the machines used in the United States and they were very easy to hack. Asked for evidence on her mother machine hacking history, the Ketchup heiress refused to further comment, Malcolm wrote. But a cacophony of conspiracy theorists and mainstream Democrats have since taken up Kerry's moon baton from truther types of black box moronics to Hillary Clinton. Never mind the glaring contradiction of their attack on the Bush administration, too incompetent to govern, yet so nefariously efficient and devious that it can rig hundreds of thousands of voting machines to deny Democrats their honest count and entitled victory. This Michelle Malkin wrote. So does that sound tricky? That's not all of it, but we'll stop right there and talk about it some. Minister, did you want to weigh in? Okay, let's take a comment from Omar Baruti. This is more evident. I mean, there's more. There's more, Omar.
You know, when you got a system that won't let you in an honest election, then that system needs to be totally destroyed. And those people that created the system need to go to jail.
And I'll tell you something else. I'm glad Judge pointed that out about 3 weeks ago. Because what we've been doing, we've been going after the effect of something. We've not looked at the cause and attacked the cause.
Yes.
You can't put a square peg in a round hole.
These are criminals.
Criminals.
They need to pay for their crimes.
They should, and we had a brother in the U.S. Attorney's Office for 8 years, and on the nebulous promise that he'd get a federal judgeship, it's Stanton III, he neglected his duty to go prosecute this or investigate this and put it in front of a grand jury, and then as soon as Trump got in, Lamar Alexander double-crossed him, and they nominated a white guy who is know-nothing around here to be the federal judge. He got quickly confirmed. So you see, that's another thing. what is in it for me rather than what you ought to be doing for all. Now there you go. And then every one of the black folk that voted against this who was on the county commission ought to be tarred and feathered.
Yep.
If not literally, figuratively, and the Democratic Party needs to be embarrassed. The election commissioners, Nora Jackson et al., they need to be held accountable. And why in the world did the feds put the money in there 10 years ago if we've been waddling around doing this, and we need to know what their connections were, and they need to perhaps go to jail for bribery, extortion, or corruption.
Well, usually in cases like that, though, it is a domino effect. So what you just said is just
Oh,
a domino effect of it.
They did, what is it, Tennessee Waltz, where a whole lot of crooked folk got put in jail for that.
Yeah.
Some of our favorite politicians have been on the take for a long time, and everybody's been turning a blind eye. They got jacked up, whacked up, and sent away. You need to put some more people out there too.
Real quick, here's one right here. It says, Kerry himself also believed this conspiracy theory. A New York University professor, Mark Miller, told Democracy Now! That Kerry thinks the election was stolen but didn't try to challenge it because of the sour grapes question. Miller later wrote a book in 2008 which he fretted that the Republicans would pull off something similar in 2008, but then Barack Obama winning the presidency quelled those fears.
Okay,
but still,
we got a mayoral candidate, Harris. She's been on the faculty for the University of Memphis Law School. Ideally placed. Why hasn't he done anything over the years about this? See, that's the kind of thing when you got a professorship. Professors always took these cases that were unpopular with the private bar because they had an income, they get paid one way or the other, and they've got plenty of time and they can assign students to help out. Why hasn't he done anything about it? Why has there been no inquiry about this?
Right.
You don't expect it from the elected county DA, she's a crook anyway. So the bottom line is somebody also needed to look into it in conjunction with the juvenile courts slush fund and this non-interest bearing account that used to be with First Tennessee that Shep Wilburn discovered after Randy Wade ran a goon squad down there and seized the records after I had the late Otis Higgs swearing in a day early so he could do that. But you know, that's been 18 years ago and nobody has done a damn thing since about that. See.
Go ahead, Minister. All right, that is the Minister Sakura Abdul Yahweh, everybody. What time is it, Omar? We've got a little bit left on this article, but we can take it up at the meeting at a later date. Can we get a till 5? I think we've done good. Hey, listen, we've got an hour up for someone who wants to talk on the radio. Want to talk if you want to talk sports and politics, 5 till 6, because we start running out of gas about 5. I think I'm going to start purchasing some of that, what's that high grade that you use? Stop buying that regular and get some of that, get some of that high-tech gas, so my engine will run a little longer and a little further. Hey, but Cedric,
yes, sir.
We've got some time up, 5 till 6. We want someone to come in and buy that time for us and talk about politics and sports and entertainment.
All right.
Whatever.
5 to 6 sounds like a good time.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's different with me. I can't even tell you who's on my Philadelphia Sixers team. It's terrible.
Is
I need
it?
somebody much more knowledgeable than myself.
Hey, may we have another rendition of a song by Miss Sherry Nay Flores? Yes, Sherry Nay.
Alright. This is a little short one since we're running on time. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. My aunt loved it when I sang this song. At last, my love has come along. My lonely days are over, and life is like a song. Oh yeah, yeah, at last. The skies above are blue. My heart was wrapped up in clover. The night I looked at you, I found a dream that I could speak to, a dream that I can call my own. I found a thrill to rest my cheek to, a thrill that I've never known. Oh yeah, yeah, you smile, oh, and then the spell was cast, and here we are in heaven. For you are mine at last, at last. Thank you.
Go ahead, sister. Well done.
Hey, let's have some final thoughts, starting with Omar. Let's go around the table and close this out.
I think the show has been off the chart. Make sure your children listen to next Sunday. We want to get you awake and keep them awake. Thank you.
Shay Renee.
As always, it's a pleasure to be here. I always have a blast. So thank you guys for inviting me.
Edith, and then Judge, and then me.
I'm just honored to be at the table with you guys. I mean, it's a blessing to be here. I'm glad to have been invited. Wallace and I, we've been friends for quite a few years, and it's about time I come on your show and support you. I really enjoyed it.
And we thank you. Judge Joe Brown.
I enjoyed the live entertainment. Very interesting. I know you could do all that. But anyway, it was good, and power to the people. Focus. And grow some cojones if you a sorry fool that doesn't have them yet. Take some testosterone injections or something. They are available from your local physician on prescription, so you might want to do that.
All right. Cedric.
Yes, sir. Well, I just wanted to, I really appreciate you along with this school of educating and go over this speech and go to work. So I'm on my Facebook page, I am so I came.
All right. And we thank you very much. Join us next week, AM 16. Oh, and we're working on that, Omar, so we can get this 3-4 hours on one station. But I remember one time I had an attorney. I never will forget her. She wanted me to ascertain some information, and I was not able to do such. But she said, that's all right. We'll go with what we got. So, that's all right. We'll go with what we got. We've got 1 hour on AM 1600, and we've got actually 3 to 6 over here, but we start winding down about 5. So tune in next week as we talk about the conglomerate of issue, race, or black people under assault. Is race a social construct? When did this begin to unravel? Was it the early 1700s? Who is Carl Linnaeus? But wait a minute, this one drop rule. Who is Johann Blumenbach? Join us next week as we talk more about race, as we talk about ways in which to develop the kind of critical insight, critical thinking that we need to uncover some of the stuff that seems to be hidden. And perhaps it is hidden. But we have to learn how to look beyond what the media says, because we have people who look like us come out and say damaging things about their own people. So we must educate them. Tune into the Love Power Show, where that love is sometimes tough. Thank you very much.
You get ready to do another song.
I like the theme song. You don't like the theme song?
Yeah. I love
team because of the players.
I
watch
love to hear you say that.
Or are you someone that says, look, I love watching the coach and the style and the way a team responds and the response to a loss, or the way a guy prepares his team and how just sound they are in every facet of the game. They're kicking strong. They're very good on special teams. They understand short yardage. They understand how to pick up first downs. Where do you come down? Is the Patriots' success based upon Bill Belichick and what he builds? Or is Bill Belichick just fortunate enough to have drafted in sort of a blind luck type of deal to pick up Tom Brady in the 6th round?
Tune in to Pushing the Odds, Monday through Friday from noon to 3 Eastern on SB Nation Radio. This is Pushing the Odds.
It kind of defines who you are as a sports fan. So what I mean by that is, are you pro teacher or are you pro student? Meaning, are you someone that looks at a football player and says, hey, I like this team because of the players. I watch football because of the players. Or are you someone that says, look, I love watching a coach and the style and the way a team responds and the response to a loss, or the way a guy prepares his team and how just sound they are in every facet of the game. They're kicking strong. They're very good on special teams. They understand short yardage. They understand how to pick up first downs. Where do you come down? Is the Patriots' success based upon Bill Belichick and what he builds? Or is Bill Belichick just fortunate enough to have drafted in sort of a blind luck type of deal to pick up Tom Brady in the 6th round?
Tune in to Pushing the Odds, Monday through Friday from noon to 3 Eastern on SB Nation Radio.
Every Friday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, former Oklahoma Sooner basketball player Elissa Walker Campbell takes you inside the world of sports, insightful interviews that go beyond